Every single senator better get ready to open up their books. Global News has learned the Auditor General is about to start a comprehensive audit of all of their expenses. You'll remember that back in June, Michael Ferguson was called in by the Board of Internal Economy to start looking at the Senate, and they wanted to do a full audit. Well, today he confirmed exactly what his scope will be. He will be looking at each and every single senator's expenses. He expects the work will take roughly 18 months. So, as he does in many of his reports, he says he will probably be releasing all of the information in chunks. We don't know when the first will be ready, but we expect to hear that very soon.
Yes, indeed. We continue our unending independent broadcast called Video Radio. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
The Conservatives have been in our crosshairs here for about, 20 months straight, because they choose every week to screw up and gain speed.
We're here to give them more of a headache.
It's the Harper Headache Show. It's Radio Free Canada, and we have a clip that looks like this.
On the first full day of his annual trip to the north, Stephen Harper promoted job training in the mining sector and confirmed a rumor that's been swirling for weeks.
There will be a new throne speech in the fall. Obviously, the House will be prorogued in anticipation of that. We will come back in October.
So MPs won't be coming back next month on September 16th as scheduled. The opposition says Harper is on the run. This is the fourth time Stephen Harper has prorogued Parliament, including in 2008, then to foil opposition parties who plan to topple his minority government and form a coalition. Protesters showed their displeasure when he did it again a year later, when pressure was mounting over the treatment of Afghan detainees.
He's already had 3 months of parliamentary adjournment. He now says he needs another month or month and a half. That begins to sound like he's running from something.
The messy Senate spending scandal is sure to be front and center when the House returns. 3 of 4 senators now under fire for their faulty expense claims were appointed by Harper, including Pamela Wallin, whom Harper defended just 6 months ago. An audit released last week found that Wallin owes more than $121,000 in ineligible claims. Today, Harper was unsympathetic.
As you know, the senator has not been a member of our caucus for some months, but I would expect that action will be taken to ensure full accountability for any breaking of rules.
Stephen Harper may want to avoid questions in the House of Commons, but he did say today that he's ready to face the Canadian people once again and lead his party in the next election expected in 2015. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
So what he just proved that is, if you're loyal to Stephen Harper, he will throw you under the bus.
Exactly. You have no standing in the House.
Okay, we're monitoring it. She'll pay. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How's that reformatting of the Senate going?
Can you talk about Senate reform?
Accountability, transparency. Wait a second. I'm drawing a blank.
Hang on. I got to go on vacation.
So while they're proroguing Parliament, there are groups forming all across this nation of ours that are, standing right against the fascism that Stephen Harper is installing in this country. Yeah, we can't recognize Canada. Harper succeeded.
That he did.
Running the country into the ground, one prorogue at a time. We got it. What do you got?
Well, apparently he's up in the Arctic on his annual trip.
Okay, let's follow him to the Arctic like he wants us to.
Well, Stephen Harper was in Hay River today promoting job training so that locals can get into the resource development industry. But the problems from Parliament Hill continue to dog the Prime Minister. Once again, he was asked about Senator Pamela Wallin's expenses and the fact that the Deloitte audit found many of her bogus expense claims were for partisan activities. Harper brushed that issue aside, saying the Senate spells out the rules for expenses and that all senators are expected to follow them. He also made it clear that people should be held accountable for not following those rules. As for opposition claims that he's proroguing Parliament just to dodge questions on the Senate scandal, well, he kind of dodged that question too, saying a new throne speech is completely normal. Now, Harper says he looks forward to bringing forward new legislation in the fall, but he admits the theme will remain the same: jobs and growth. Mike LeCouture, Global News, Hay River, Northwest Territories.
Yes, they maintain a theme really well.
Jobs and growth.
Yes, they just keep saying the words jobs and growth, and then that means that they're doing something. Remember, you cannot judge them by what propaganda they tell each other so they feel good. You judge them by their actions and the results.
You mean like the economic action plan that isn't really a plan at all?
The plan was put us $170 billion in debt and leave us there. And that's exactly what he did. Remember, they've got $73 billion for weapons programs, but they have no money for senior citizens.
Or to keep the prisons open, or
how about
jobs?
There's
all kinds of crazy cuts going on.
Yeah, healthcare, programs for women.
And of course, Arctic sovereignty is a big platform on the Conservatives.
Check this out.
In a Vladimir Putin-type photo op, Stephen Harper flexed some military muscle. He and new Defense Minister Rob Nicholson did a little target practice with a relic rifle, the same type of long gun Canadian Rangers use to defend our Arctic sovereignty up here. The problem? The guns are more than half a century old.
This is a concern, and we believe it is time. The Department of National Defence is in the process of scoping out a program for replacement.
Now, despite the lack of modern equipment, Harper was made an honorary ranger at a ceremony Wednesday morning. He was presented with one of their iconic red hoodies, which he had some problems negotiating. Now, it all coincided with the Prime Minister announcing he's followed through on a 2007 promise to bolster the Rangers' ranks by 1,000 members. The Rangers are Army reservists who help to patrol the sparsely populated areas of Canada's north. But some believe the government's promise to bolster resources here have gone largely unfulfilled.
Why is the Prime Minister making promises and then failing to deliver?
Michael Byers is the author of International Law and the Arctic. He's also a former NDP candidate. He says Harper's Northern Plan is a lot of bravado, but very little dough.
The Arctic is 40% of this country. It is a place the Prime Minister talks about as central to our economic future, but the money simply hasn't flowed to provide the infrastructure to compete with other Arctic countries.
From here, Harper travels to Rankin Inlet for the Arctic Leaders Summit. It'll be a good opportunity for leaders of the far north to share their concerns with the Prime Minister. Mike Lecouteur, Global News, Joe Haven, Nunavut.
See, once again, say one thing, but don't do anything.
The guy's just an empty suit.
And he's saying, well, we need to bring more weapons to the north to protect our sovereignty, but what about the people going hungry?
Aren't they working on a stealth snowmobile?
Well, they've got the stealth Huskies. Those are really hard to pick up on the radar, They're happy about that.
Yeah.
30-year-old weapons. The Kalashnikov, the AK-47, is like a 60-year-old weapon that still outperforms, okay? And why do we have to improve on, but whatever. Okay, far be it from me to point out
anything obvious.
I know, facts and solutions. No, the government's just not about that. And one of the solutions that's needed in an impoverished nation is access to justice,
which we're not getting.
Okay, so if you have any involvement with the law courts at all, you'll know the law courts in Canada are designed for the rich to ignore the poor. And here's the evidence.
The Canadian Bar Association, CBA, has released a section of its summary report entitled Reaching Equal Justice, in which it has described the justice system in Canada as abysmal.
The report says there is profoundly unequal access to justice in Canada, and much of it has to do with money. Many Canadians simply cannot afford attorneys and end up representing themselves.
Canada does provide legal aid for those who meet certain criteria, but many Canadians categorized as the working poor make too much to be considered at the poverty level and too little to hire a lawyer. Although the report indicates that there is no comprehensive data, the Bar Association believes the number of Canadians who represent themselves at courts is as high as 80%, depending on the type of court. Experts say it is one of several issues that prove the system is broken. The Canadian Bar Association is calling for a speedy resolution.
I think it speaks to the fact of the decline of the economy in Canada. The disparity in access to all kinds of services, education, healthcare, housing, is becoming more and more pronounced.
The full report, which will be released this fall, also offers several suggestions to improving the judicial system. Those suggestions including more federal funding for civil legal aid and making law schools establish legal clinics for the poor. The CBA also says the system is too broken to be fixed in a short time. Ashante Hathaway, Press TV, Montreal.
So keep making those cuts. You know, that'll solve the problem.
Yeah, that'll solve the problem. Make sure that people don't have access
to justice.
Yeah. Okay, because it's a legal system. It's more important to balance the books and make sure that rich people are only taken care of. And, you know, it's what we have to do is just create a system whereas we skip the law courts altogether.
That would be a brilliant idea.
They're too expensive to fix. They've proven that. They protect murderers, okay? If you're wearing a uniform, you get protected by their judiciary. Why try to fix that system? Okay, come on. Let's think about that.
It's unfixable. It's unfixable.
So, I mean, forget about it. I mean, sure, baby boomers love their systems that are antique and don't work. They maintain them, but they are outnumbered now by the younger generation. It's time for us just to take it in our own hands and get rid of this ridiculous crown system.
And meanwhile, our government is encouraging our people to join the armed forces, and yet when they come back, this happens.
Jay Jorgensen worked for the Canadian military for 17 years, serving in Bosnia, Afghanistan, and the Arctic. Impressed by Saskatoon's economic boom, he decided he had a chance at a new life. And that's why, when given the option to cash half of his veteran's pension, he took it, comfortable with the amount that was estimated to him. When he got the check, he was devastated. Jorgensen lost close to $50,000, and he's not alone. Veteran Sean Walton says he received a payout of more than 50% less than estimated. Both vets have spent hours on the phone trying to get answers. They're told the shocking drops are due to market fluctuations.
In our experience, in a short period of time after the estimate, there usually would not be a significant fluctuation in generally speaking, but subject to, of course, any other actuarial considerations that may be at play here.
Global reached out to the Department of Defense after a number of days and dozens of emails back and forth. By late this afternoon, the department only had this to say: "We will continue to do our due diligence and investigate this matter internally to ensure the members are provided the support they require." The veterans plan to continue fighting the government so future service members don't face the same losses. Amber Rockcliffe, Global News.
So remember, if you drink the Kool-Aid and you're actually loyal to the government, you will get screwed in the end.
Now you can see why they're having trouble getting recruits.
Oh, yes.
Why they have to lower the standards.
That's the one story that I wish we had one. They're lowering the physical and mental standards of people who are applying to the Canadian Armed Forces.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, like that worked so well for the RCMP. We are here as Video Radio. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
We've got the Municipal Sustainability Project coming up. It's an actual solution to poverty. And we're really quite proud of it, too.
We are.
So, make sure you stay tuned, check our facts, and just don't take our word for it. Use your brains, okay? Because there's the internet out there. All the solutions are there. Please tune in. And thanks for joining us.